So you can see the art of sleep, how self-care during the day supports you at night?
Yes.
Okay. So this workshop is mostly going to be me talking. If someone has questions or if something I say doesn't make sense or whatever it is, obviously you can submit a question. You can share it through the chat, particularly because there's, like 70 of you just about. So we're going to probably not have huge discussions, but so if you have any questions, try to send them through chat. If you don't feel like I've noticed them, you can raise your hand and I will try to call on you and we'll get that taken care of. I don't think this will be the full hour, but who knows? Could be more exciting than I even imagined. So I hope that helps. If you have your video on, or even if you don't mind muting now, just so there aren't any background noises that disrupt other people, and I'll get going. So you can see here, I'm going to be talking about sleep tonight. That's so funny. I just love the fact that I'm talking about sleep tonight. So I'm going to be talking about sleep, and I'm going to hopefully come at it from a different perspective than what you are used to talking about it. So first, let's just get me out of the way, right? So why am I talking about this? My name is Jeremy Schneider. I have a master's in social work. I have a master's in family therapy. I'm a published author, and I am a certified life coach. I have a column on Psychology Today where I talk about or write about AI and your mental health, using it for mental health support, personal growth, and self-care. I created something called the integration path framework for overcoming trauma. And it's basically a 6-step phase that we go through in the process of overcoming trauma. And so that is obviously something that I help people with. I also developed something called Digital Ally, which is a special way of doing sessions for using AI for mental health. And then obviously I do workshops like this. This falls under the self-care workshop, which we'll see in a moment. I also do workshops on overcoming trauma and using AI for your mental health. I think many of you may have already received a link to my self-care guide, but also I think many of you may have gotten an email without a link, so I apologize for that. I'm going to share this in the chat. I'm sorry that you're going to see yourselves multiple times. I'm going to share it in the chat. It's free. Go ahead, sign up. When you sign up, you'll get an email with a link to the guide. If you don't, just email me directly. The email that comes from the email that goes to you will be my personal email. So you won't be dealing with some AI being, I promise. Okay, so enough about me. Let's think about sleep from a new perspective. I suspect that most of you already know that sleep is really important. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So we're not going to focus on how many hours you need or how important it is or what it does for your body and mind. I'm going to assume that you already know that it's important. The problem is it's hard. It's a lot harder than it seems like. And for most people in our society, especially, sleep just doesn't come easy. So what I'm going to talk about is how sleep and self-care are intertwined together in order to help you be able to have a better night's rest. I'm going to talk a lot about your nervous system tonight, because what you'll see is how much of a connection there is between your ability to sleep and the way your nervous system is during the entire day. So good sleep starts during the day, right? A lot of us think about how we wind down at night, which is important, but it's really how we act during the day that has a huge role in our ability to wind down at night. Our nervous system is aware of everything that we go through, whether it's the hectic lifestyle that so many of us have, or whether it's just a calm and relaxed lifestyle. Our nervous system remembers that and literally holds it for us. When we're talking about the importance of sleep, I'm going to keep bringing back the concept of self-care. And the reason that self-care is so important is self-care allows us the ability to manage our nervous system. And that's what we're talking about here. We can't manage it at the last moment, just as we're trying to go to sleep. We want to start managing it during the day. And another point that I want people to understand is that poor sleep isn't a failure, right? It's not something you're doing wrong. It just may be a message from your nervous system saying, hey, there's too much going on. I can't do everything. Maybe we need to figure out another way to get through these days so that we can rest better at night. So I thought about this metaphor for you, and I think it will be helpful. I'm sure you've seen movies or TV shows where there's some speeding freight train that's just out of control and it slams on the brakes, but it takes forever for it to stop. This is kind of the way our nervous system is, right? We're going full speed all day long. And then as soon as it's time for bed, we're get into bed and we're like, why is my mind racing? Why am I not slowing down? Why am I not ready for sleep? It's because we've been in this mode of racing all day long. So the whole slamming of the brakes concept, first of all, right, that makes that terrible, terrible sound, which can be jarring. And if you just imagine like trying to break your nervous system, not as in two pieces, but to break it as to slow it down. If you're trying to break our nervous system, right, that's going to take some time, especially if we've been going full speed during the day. We're not built to be going the way we go during the day, right? Our brains are not meant to be full speed all the time. Our bodies are not meant to be full speed all the time. This is a relatively new situation in society, right? 100 years ago, 200 years ago, we were not living a rushed lifestyle. And so evolution-wise, we're not ready to live like this and then be able to just rest at night. So the other thing to think about is, right, any train, but especially a speeding freight train, needs a significant distance to brake effectively. What we often do is we keep our foot on the pedal, even though there's not really a pedal for a train, but we keep our speed going at a high rate until it's time for sleep. And then we struggle because maybe we have some wind down ritual, and I'll talk about those a little bit later, but maybe we have a wind down ritual that like helps a little bit, but it doesn't help enough because it's not proportionate to the amount of speed racing we've done during the day. I'm going to pause here for just a moment. Does this make sense in terms of how our nervous systems are working during the day? Awesome. Thank you very much for the feedback. Thank you. Give me 1 second. Sorry. See, I got. Okay. I got all distracted by actually doing the presentation. I forgot to pay attention to people wanting to get on the call. Let's go back. Okay, so that was great. I really appreciate the feedback and the thumbs up. I love it. And let's see. Let's go on to the next one. So obviously, now that you're thinking about your nervous system as this freight train, right? We have to think about ways to slow it down. And we're not talking about just slowing it down at night. And you can see, like, don't wait until night, right? We want to start slowing this down earlier during the day. And I don't just mean like maybe at 6 p.m. we start to wind down, though that may be part of it. But I'm talking about taking breaks during the day in order to be able to feel more calm in the evening. And again, I'm just going to let more people in. So part of that is we're not waiting. Part of that is taking attentional breaks during the day and managing our stress better. And this is what I keep coming back to again. This is all about self-care. If you've seen any of my other self-care workshops where I talk much more about the specifics of self-care and why it's important, you really start to see, like, this is the key, right? These moments for yourself, this managing our stress during the day, dealing with the weights that pile up, dealing with the drain on our energy levels. This is what we need to do during the day to take care of ourselves. And this all is what facilitates helping us be able to rest and sleep better in the evening. And this last one, avoid constantly accelerating, right? This is a challenge in our society because we're constantly being told and pressured into doing something quickly and doing it, just get it done before you leave, get it done now, right? It's just so much. And so partly this is a mental shift for a lot of us, is how do we still find our sense of self-worth and our value if we're not constantly on the go for 18 hours out of the day? Again, apologies, all the people needing to be let in. So let's talk about microcare and how that leads us to nervous system breaking. Again, breaking as in slowing down, not breaking our nervous system, because that self-care is all about not breaking our nervous system. Just so we're clear about that. So there are 3 components here. 1, take your time. And what I mean by that is not just maybe try and do things a little bit more slowly than you normally would, but also take the time that you have, right? You have 3 meals a day, hopefully, because, good self-care. We eat regularly, though I even struggle with that one. But so take your time that you have. If you're working during the day, take a lunch. Even if you can't get the full hour, 30 minutes of leaving the office or leaving your home in order to just step away for a little bit, read a
You muted yourself.
I'm sorry, what point does anybody know what point that happened? That's not at all what my intention was.
It was less than a minute.
Okay, so take your time. We're talking about taking things like lunch, taking time around dinner, around breakfast, making sure that you have time for where you can slow down and your pace isn't at this constant, 75 miles per hour, which is just not good for us, period, let alone good for sleeping. The other thing I want you to think about are transitions. And transitions are really, they're a unique opportunity for people, but oftentimes we miss out on them. And what I mean by that is throughout the day, we go from one activity to another activity to another activity, whether that is, okay, I just got off of a phone call and there's this transition to whatever I'm going to do next, or I just finished a meeting, there's a transition to whatever I'm going to do next. These transitions, our brains are kind of trained to think that we should keep going, right? That sense of urgency, the sense of like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? That becomes a habit in our brains. That doesn't mean that we need to be like that, but it's become what we're used to doing. Transitions from one activity to another are an excellent way to remind yourself, okay, I don't have to jump into the next thing. I can really breathe for 10 seconds. You know, I know I have 2 to 5 minute breaks, but even shorter would help make a difference in your life. So think about transitions as this opportunity to slow down a little bit and just take a moment. It doesn't have to be a long moment. I'm not talking about 30 minutes. We're really talking about a short period of time that allows you to just breathe, gather your thoughts, take a moment, and just calm your nervous system so that it isn't constantly going at 75 miles per hour. So Karen asks, what do I think about naps or rest periods? I will be both completely honest with you on both fronts. One, I hate naps. I hate them. They are so good though. They are so valuable. And so if you need a nap, if you need a rest, if you need to close your eyes, excuse me, for 3 minutes, it's worth it. It's going to make a difference. Because again, those 3 minutes, your nervous system starts to slow down. And the more time that you give it, the more it starts to slow down. And so, yeah, I'm a big believer in taking rest breaks and naps if you need them. I take rest breaks every day, all the time. Sometimes for 10 minutes, sometimes for 2 minutes, but like my favorite thing to do, there's something about word games that even though I'm using my brain, it feels like so much of the rest of my brain just, it just calms a little bit. And then I find that I'm more focused when I get back to working. And for me, it's like, I don't care if I might be 3 minutes late for something because I'm going to be in better shape when I've had this rest and when I've taken care of myself. The other component to think about I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but Natine, I don't really want to talk about supplements just because that's not an area of expertise. I know melatonin does help people. I know magnesium also helps people, but that is a question that I would talk to your doctor about just to be on the safe side, as I am not an expert in either of those, though I have used them myself and have found them to be helpful. The third component here in terms of taking these micro self-care breaks during the day is building a sense of self-awareness as to when you start to feel the effects of a revved up nervous system. Okay, so right now what we've talked mostly about is what to do when your nervous system is so revved up. But ideally, we can help you get to a point where you're aware, oh, this is what it feels like when my brain starts to get sluggish. That's the sign that I need to take a break, instead of waiting until your brain shuts down, right? So I do a lot of writing. I'm putting together workshops all the time. I do a lot of kind of creative work in that way. And I find that sometimes my brain is just like, you know what? That was good, but we're not going to do that anymore. And what I've learned is how my brain acts when it's starting to really struggle. And so when I start to notice that, I take a break versus waiting until it gets more serious. And the reason for that is the same concept of the speeding freight train, right? Which is that the faster the train is going, the longer it takes for it to slow down. So if I'm catching my ramping up or my struggling earlier, then it's going to take me less time to recover and start to feel better. Whereas if I wait too long, my recovery time becomes much longer. Again, just like that freight train, right? It takes that much time to brake at 30 miles per hour. It takes a heck of a lot longer to brake at 75 miles per hour. Okay, I hope that made sense. Let's move on to what is next. So we've been talking about self-care. I thought it'd be a really good chance to actually practice a little bit with you. I've given you 3 examples here, and I'll just run through them real quickly, and then you can choose which one you want to do, and we'll do them for like 5 breaths. So the first one is 5/7 breathing. This is really important because when you exhale longer than you inhale, you're actually telling your nervous system that it's safe, that it can calm down. So this is an actual autonomic cue for your body where it says, okay, you're saying, oh, I have more than enough oxygen that I need. I don't need more oxygen. I can slow down. And that's tells your brain to take it easy. So you can do this with any multiples that you want. I've done 3/5 and 5/7. You could do 4/6. It's not like it has to be odd numbers either. Whatever you want, as long as that works. So you're breathing in for 5, and then you're breathing out for 7. Again, so the goal is to just exhale longer than you've inhaled. Jessica brought up a point about, can you undo damage to your body because of stress? And I guess I just want to take a moment to say, let's not worry too much about whether or not we've caused damage to ourselves, for whether it's lack of sleep or stress or anything like that. Nothing good comes from determining that. What I do say is you can absolutely make things better moving forward. And taking some of these self-care steps, some of the other self-care stuff I talk about in my other writing and workshops, like these are things that do heal your body. Is it like an undo button? I don't know if anyone knows the answer to that. And honestly, I wouldn't worry about it, because all that really matters is how you treat yourself moving forward. And if you can treat yourself with better care and more kindness and compassion, you will feel better. There's no question about that. The second option is box breathing, which is you inhale for 4 seconds, you hold your breath for 4 seconds, you exhale for 4 seconds, and then you hold again for 4 seconds. So kind of the image of a square. Ranjitha talks about having trouble staying asleep. So that's, again, a very similar kind of challenge, right? Where maybe your body is exhausted enough that you fall asleep just fine, but your brain is still going, your nervous system is still running at a high level, that you're waking up in the middle of the night with thoughts racing and having a hard time going back to sleep. Again, I think doing self-care work during the day will help to make a huge difference. The third option is just very simply counting breaths. This actually is one of my favorite. You just inhale and exhale and then silently count 1, and then you do it again. Inhale, exhale 2, inhale, exhale 3. So now that you have a sense of what they are, we're just going to take literally about a minute, and we're going to do one of these exercises, whichever one you prefer. We're going to do it for 5 beats, 5 breaths. Okay, everybody ready to get started? We'll let in this one person in so they can get their breaths in. Oh, Jamie, yes? Okay, so let's get started on the breathing. Okay, so inhale, and then I'll let you know when we're done. So inhale.
Oh.
How is that for everybody?
Better now for me.
You can feel a difference, right? Yeah, and that was just 5 breaths.
A breath of fresh air.
And imagine doing that just a few times a day. It can really make a difference. That's awesome, Diane. I'm glad to hear that. So now that we've got that, now that you have some sense of what to do, let's start focusing on preparing for sleep at night. So sleep is not just about how tired we are, right? It's about where our nervous system is at. It's also an issue of safety. How safe do we feel in our bedroom, in our homes? And do we have enough signs and cues that help us feel safe? So again, one of the challenges is when our nervous system is in high alert, right? When we're in this go, go, go place all day long, our brain is used to thinking, okay, I got to figure out what's next, right? And even when there's nothing on your calendar and you're safe at home, your brain is still going, what's next? That's partly what the racing is at the end of the day. That's what the racing is when we close our eyes at night but can't actually fall asleep. So again, this is that braking system, right? The slowing ourselves down. This may mean that we need a more extended wind down time. So instead of 10 minutes, we may need an hour. We may need more. The other piece of this is also thinking about what are some cues that we can use in our environment and in our home, or even when we're leaving work, whether that's signing off on a computer or actually leaving an office, that helps remind our bodies that, okay, we're safe. Everything is okay. Those are the 2 components that are going to help you as you start getting ready for sleep. Excuse me. Now, one thing is important to understand, that for those of you that have been through some childhood adversity or any other traumas in your life, your sense of safety is distorted because of what you've been through. That's not your fault, of course. It's just a reflection of what you experienced. But that also causes your nervous system to be in high alert mode, which makes it harder for you to go to sleep at night. If this is something you've known before and you've worked with a therapist, great. If not, working with a therapist may be very helpful for you. Also, it just means that you might want to spend more time on the wind down, on making sure these safety cues are obvious for you as you're going to sleep at night. Yes. Someone has their hand raised? Sorry.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Thank you for this workshop. I really appreciate the information. These are really helpful. My question is exactly related to what you just mentioned about trauma. I understand that working with a therapist and all of that, just in terms of what I can personally do to make the nervous system a little bit calmer. For example, I'm from Iran originally, and given the war that just happened over there, my family is living there and I haven't seen them for 10 years. And I lived in a war zone as a child for 6 years at the beginning of my life. So even if nothing is going on there, I'm still kind of like expecting something or waiting for some bad news. So it has impacted my sleep in a great negative way, and I do not know how to manage that myself on my end.
So, I mean, that is a much deeper question. But what I will say, and we can also talk about this another time if you'd like, but in terms of sleep, what you're talking about is what I'm talking about here, just on a much larger scale, right? Your nervous system is wired to be hyper alert for the possibility of any potentially dangerous thing.
Right.
That doesn't mean real danger. It means any possible potential danger.
Exactly.
And so you're in this constant state of hyper alert. And again, I a therapeutic experience has many advantages and can be really helpful. And there are lots of tools that we could teach you and show you. And we can talk about that if you want more information on that. But as it relates to this, what I will say to you is, if someone who hasn't experienced what you've been through needs, let's just say, an hour of downtime throughout the day to be able to help calm their nervous system, people like you and frankly me are going to need 3 hours, maybe more. So for what people who haven't experienced trauma, if they breathe for 5 seconds, that can make such a big difference. But if you've been through a lot of trauma, the breathing for 5 seconds, you probably need to do that more, and you need to do that more regularly during the day.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I appreciate it.
Good. Thank you for sharing. Brian asked, he's never journaled. And Brian, I'd like to thank you for offering me this softball pitch so I can knock this out of the park. So yes, journaling can make a huge difference. You can journal on a regular pad of paper and things like that. I also teach a workshop and have done articles on using AI for interactive journaling. And I've been using it for about a year, and I find it extraordinarily helpful. I literally have done several hour-long workshops on this topic, teaching people how to do it. So if you're interested, you can reach out to me after the workshop. We can see what materials I've already done, and we can talk about that. But either way, journaling is really helpful because it can be a way to either kind of dump the stuff out of your brain, and I was actually going to talk about this in a little bit, or it's a way of being able to process the stuff that's in your brain so that the weight of it or the drain of it is not as strong. So we've talked a little bit about getting ready for sleep. A key thing here, and maybe a lot of you already know this part, but I felt like it was just good to remind again, is that you need your bedroom to be a safe place, right? You want it to be comfortable. You want to feel safe and secure and cozy and comfy and all of those things. So that means, are your pillows comfortable? Are your sheets comfortable? Is the mattress comfortable? Is the temperature comfortable? All of these things, right? Do you like the paint in your room? Do you like the decorations on the wall? Do you like whatever? Like, is there anything in your room that either helps you feel calmer or makes you not feel calm? So an example for me is I love the beach. And so I had a glass of sand that I would just keep on my bed. And like looking at the glass of sand, it was like, huh. Now, did that like cure me of my day's ills? No. But did it make like a tiny little bit of a difference in a positive direction? Yes. And that's the kind of care that you want to put into your room, into your bedroom. Another piece is you want to make sure that your bedroom is not a place of stress and strife, right? So I understand this is hard for people who live in like a city where you're in a 1-bedroom apartment or something, but don't work in your bed if you can avoid it. If you do have to, like if you have basically 2 rooms in your house and working in your bed is one of those rooms, then don't lie in bed with your computer the way you would lie in bed for sleep. Lay in a different direction. Lay at the other end of the bed. Whatever little thing that you can help your body understand the difference between the cues of, oh, this is where I'm working, but and this is where I'm sleeping. That's easier to do, obviously, if you can kind of make the bed a special place. But even if you can't do that, trying to just think about how you do it differently will be helpful. And then we're going to talk a little bit about wind down routines. So I just want to give you some examples of different ways that you can wind down. As with, and I say this in all the self-care workshops, what works for me may not work for you at all. And what works for you may not work for me. I'm not telling you that this is the right way to do it, but what I am trying to do is give you ideas that may spark something for you that might work for you. So as an example, when I will watch TV at night, like, so let's say after this, I will, I love rain, thunder, or ocean waves also, Kate, thank you. So sometimes what I will do, so I'm sorry, after this event, I will, I'm gonna need a wind down a little bit because I'm gonna be a little hyper and wired from this because I love this. And so I'm gonna wind myself down. I might watch a little TV. I'll be careful about the kind of TV that I watch. I will not watch something that's gonna get me excited or anxious or nervous, right? When I'm done, I almost always turn on my phone. I turn on music, like spa music or meditation music or something like that, so that I'm already just telling my brain and body, okay, it's time to calm down. I kind of think of it as like if someone puts a blanket over me and I'm just like, oh, because that's what I want to feel, right? I want to feel my body slowing down. So think about how you brush your teeth. Think about what else you do at night. Are you packing up your backpack or your bag for the next day before you go to work? Maybe that's something to do earlier in the day so that that's not stressful just before bedtime. How do you have the lights in your house? I will only turn on the lights that I need. And then when I go to bed at night, I will not turn on the overhead light. I'll just turn on the lamp near my bed, because I just know that setting up the light like that just makes it a little bit easier. And again, the goal isn't perfection. And it's also not like, if you miss the lighting thing, everything's going to fall apart. It's just that each one of these steps helps calm your nervous system. And that's all we want to do. Even just me talking like this helps calm our nervous systems. When you're choosing a book to read at night, don't look at social media. Don't scroll through the news, please. What I suggest is, think about like fiction, right? Something that's going to help take you to another place, distract your mind from whatever's going on. And that also helps your body just wind down. Back to what we were talking about earlier, you can journal, you can write down your thoughts. I won't go into the whole use AI for interactive journaling again, because Brian already set me up for that pretty well, and which I appreciate. So there's that. And I'm just gonna let these last, stargazing at night. That's actually a genius idea. And I am somewhat embarrassed that I have never thought of doing that. That was good. Okay, that was a good one. I like that. And in fact, if you want, after this workshop, feel free to chime in on the chat in the discussion group for a meetup with ideas of things that you do that help you sleep at night, because that would be fun to get a whole collection of the group of us. Okay, so we've gotten through the wind down. We've talked about how to set up these cues. Red lights, I haven't tried that either. That's interesting, Anne-Marie. We've set up so that we're trying to slow ourselves down during the day. At the very least, we're trying to make sure that we're not constantly at an insane speed. That even if we're at a speed, we're slowing ourselves down at some point, and then we ramp up a little bit, but then we're slowing ourselves down again, right? This is all part of that long braking process of our freight train nervous system. We're talking about how to create a safe environment within our bed. We're talking about the different wind down routines that can help us. But you know what? Stuff happens, and we could do everything right, and we can still either not be falling asleep or wake up in the middle of the night not able to sleep. And this is where self-compassion and kindness are the most important things that you can learn. Because our immediate thoughts are usually ugly, right? I can't sleep, what's wrong with me? I'll be a mess tomorrow if I don't sleep now, right? None of that talk is set up to actually help us calm down. That talk only heightens our sense of alertness. But if you can catch those and say, okay, like I'm sure it would be better if I was sleeping, but I'm not. So let's figure out how I can get my body rest. Maybe that means I need to read some more. Something I didn't mention earlier is that I'm a huge fan of audiobooks. And sometimes listening to an audiobook, especially one that I've already read, or frankly, one that I don't care about, is really nice because it will distract my brain. I won't think as much because it kind of just tuned into that voice. And the rest of my body rests. So even if I don't fully sleep, I'm getting rest. And an hour of laying in bed listening to a book is a lot better than even half an hour laying in bed not being able to sleep and getting frustrated about it. Another little tip that I meant to mention on the earlier slide was that I'm a huge fan of Bluetooth sleep masks. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried one of these before, and I promise I am not a spokesperson or this is not a paid sponsor or anything like that, but it's just a sleep mask with two little speakers next to your ears. So particularly if you're sleeping with someone and you don't want to make noise, that's a fantastic way to listen to music or hear an audiobook or something. And it's nice because they're usually padded enough that you that you don't feel it when you don't feel the speaker on your ear. Okay, so, and again, I just want to emphasize that this isn't just like trying to be positive. It's literally trying to change the way our body reacts to the things that we think. So we have these self-critical or negative self-talk form in our brain, but we can catch it and say, yes, it would suck, but at least maybe I can get some rest, or at least I have a chance to listen to this book, or I'm going to listen to this music and see how I feel. Even just the process of helping yourself deal with that will make it a little bit easier for your nervous system to stay calm instead of getting excited and alerted all over again. So this is wrapping it up for tonight. So starting your sleep journey tonight, right? We're going to think about, yeah, Julie, yeah, slow down. That's just, I should have put this in big letters. Slow down. Starting with your sleep tonight, during the day is when you practice self-care, you practice breathing exercises, you're doing things to help calm yourself. Before bed, you start thinking about making it a safe place, making like how the mood that you set, and you start getting into your wind down routines. And then you just want to, like, when you get into bed is a nice time to maybe practice another breathing exercise. Another good one is to place a hand over your heart and just take some slow breaths. Again, these are all ways that we're trying to signal your nervous system to say, okay, I can be at peace, I can rest, I can be quiet. And then if you wake during the night or if you have trouble falling asleep, try and remember not to get too intense about it and focus on rest is better than no sleep. Rest is still going to help your body. So something is still better than nothing. And being kind to yourself and self-compassionate will make a big difference. And I know a couple people talked about food. Yeah, I mean, eating late is often a problem. Eating sugar or caffeine, drinking caffeine before you go to bed, obviously does not help with the relaxation process. That's also something to pay attention to. But again, for me, I'm really focusing on the self-care steps. Food is obviously part of self-care. I'm not an expert in nutrition and sleep, so we'll trust someone else to take care of that. And then before we wrap up, I just want to show you a little bit about what else I can do. So I've got 2 scheduled workshops coming up and one that I haven't scheduled but will be scheduling shortly. So the next workshop will be about overcoming trauma. And so this is how your past shows up in your present. And it's really a very focused way of looking at not delving into your past deeply, but understanding that there are things that in your present, that your past affects things in your present, and there are things that you can do to change that. And that's, I really want to help empower you with that. The one on July 31st, that starts my self-care series over again. So what are you carrying, naming what drains and restores you? This will get to the basics of self-care. So if this was your first one with me, that might be a really nice one to kind of get the self-care perspective. And then we'll talk about the AI one another time. I also want to, if you didn't get the self-care guide, I'm just going to copy this one more time and paste it into the chat. Again, this is a free self-care guide. If you want, you are more than welcome to have it. You'll also just sign up, and I'll be sending a newsletter probably once a week or so with my latest article, other tips, when the next workshops are, things like that. I also do one-on-one coaching. And so if that's something that you're interested in, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to send this around to you tomorrow, because I will not do that tonight, right? This is all about self-care. I'm not going to push myself too hard. But this is a link to scheduling a call. So if you're interested in doing one-on-one coaching with me, I offer a free 30-minute session to just kind of get a feel for what you're interested in working on and whether or not you'd feel comfortable working with me. So I won't be pitching you, I won't be selling you. It'll basically be like a mini session, and then you can decide what to do from that point, whether or not you want to work with me. And then when I send this around, you'll see this little blurb about me, just in case you want to know more about me. And the company that I run is called Build on Your Strengths, and you can see the website there. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we've got a couple minutes. So if you have any questions you want to ask, feel free, or if you feel like you did ask a question earlier, but I didn't answer it, just let me know. Hey, Cliff.
I think I missed that part about interactive journaling.
You're
Touch on that again.
You're so good to me, Cliff. I love it. So I'm a huge fan of AI, even though you can't tell that about me because I am a really sensitive, touchy-feely kind of guy. But I love AI, and it's fascinating. And one of the things that I've really learned with AI is how to use it for interactive journaling, how to use it for mental health support when you're struggling with something, how to use it for personal growth, building your sense of self-awareness, building, like, recognizing patterns that you have and figuring out how to change them. And then also self-care, doing things like having a gratitude exercise or journaling in terms of what were some of the positive things that happened today, or however you want to think about that. So that is a whole other workshop that I do. Again, my column in Psychology Today is all about just AI and mental health and tips on how to do that. I also offer what I call a digital ally session, which is if you want to learn more about how to do that specifically, I have shortened sessions where we can talk about that. I can give you examples and we can go from there. But it's really interesting if like technology doesn't scare you away.
Thanks for that.
Thanks for asking. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. Thank you for the session. I would like to know, how safe is it, though, to do like interactive journaling with AI? Does it mean that your information is out there on the internet? Like, so you don't really have privacy and confidentiality?
So it's an excellent question. The truth is, particularly if you're using it for free, it's not out there on the internet, but it is on whatever the AI servers are. So usually that's anonymized. Is that the right word? Yeah, anonymized, so that it's not associated with your actual name. But I totally get if people feel uncomfortable with that, and that's something that stands in the way of doing it. I personally, I think of my life as kind of an open book. And so I use a lot of examples from my life in my workshops and in my writing. So I'm less concerned about that privacy component, but totally understand and respect if that's a concern for you.
is that information accessible though, even though it's anonymized? It could be
It's
used.
not searchable, right? So it's not like someone could Google something and end up with your chat with an AI, but it could be used depending upon your settings. It could be used as a training tool for another AI, like for their next version.
Okay, thank you
But
for
is
that
someone
information.
like looking at it and reading it? No, but someone could if it was hacked. So that's and I've just decided that between my phone and my computer, the world knows almost everything about me if it really wanted to. So I feel like the benefit outweighs the risk, but again, completely respect people that don't feel that way because I understand.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah,
Eric?
can I ask Jeremy? Yeah, thank you very much for this. But and understanding, I really appreciate about slowing down and so forth. But do you think, is it important to not only tire out our mind mentally, but physical bodies to help us sleep? Is that important?
I mean, in terms of like, is exercise of value? Yes. And does exercise lead to better sleep? Yes, definitely. I don't know if I would think about it in terms of like tiring ourselves out as much as the physical exercise is good for our bodies, which is healthy, and it gets us to be in a more natural place for sleep. It does make us more tired, which is good for sleep, but it also helps regulate our nervous system, which is very good for sleep.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Amanda?
Yes, I know that you recently did a workshop with the AI stuff, and I was just wanting, I missed it, and I was wanting to know if you were going to be doing maybe another one of those on that again.
Absolutely. I so enjoy it. It's really weird. So I promise I will be doing more. I can also, I will, so tomorrow I'll send around an email with the slide deck and the recording.
Oh,
And
okay,
I'll send
okay.
around a link of this recording, but I'll send a link to my YouTube channel and you can see some
Okay.
of the other workshops I've done. And one of them or two of them are AI.
Okay, awesome. Okay, great. Because yeah, I really wanted to attend that, and something came up, and I wasn't able to, and so I just kind of, yeah, I just wanted to see
I
if you were
forgive
gonna,
you.
yeah. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Mudra?
Hey, it's Mudra. Can you
Mudra,
hear
okay.
me? Okay, yeah. So I was wondering if you have any ADHD specific advice or tips and tricks, especially the wind down part. I get so bored during the wind down, and I know I'm not supposed to like be around electronics or look at screens and things. So sometimes it also feels like being too comfortable is risky because then my mind will keep going on a loop. Um, so yeah, I don't know.
So, I mean, that's an interesting question. I will tell you this, right? There isn't a right way to do this. There's only what works for us. So, yes, is it better if we don't use technology before bedtime? Sure. I still read on a Kindle. Like I read on my phone, right? Before I go to sleep, I read a book on my phone using the Kindle app. But I have the screen black, so it's not light. I have I set my phone to automatically turn into night mode at like 10:30. It turns off at do not disturb at 10:30, and I have it on like night mode, and so like that limits the impact, right? But it's worth it for me because reading is so useful to me, and I I'm just not a paper guy. So being able to read from my phone has helped. So I don't want you to feel like you've got to fight this system in order to do it right. It's really a matter of trying to find what works for you. And then if there are quote unquote risks associated with that, to see if you can do something to minimize them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, I was really curious about the speaker product that you mentioned. Is it called something special? It was something about padded headphones or...
Yeah, if you go onto Amazon and you just type in Bluetooth sleep mask,
Oh, okay. Awesome.
you will
Thank you.
see so many options. And they may not last that long, but I just keep getting new ones. It's totally worth it to me. I feel like there was someone else, AN, I don't know what your name is.
Hi, it's Andrea.
Andrea, hi.
Thanks for your session, Jeremy. I was just curious, do you also offer actual therapy sessions aside from life coaching, or?
So yeah, I'll talk about that briefly. I'm trained as a therapist. I'm licensed as a therapist. I have found, partly because of my style and approach, that I like coaching better. I like coaching better, one, because it allows me to be more engaged. You may notice I'm not very shy. And so I like getting involved. And so I think I can be more helpful and useful when there's more of an engaged process. I like the collaboration part. I think also that the emphasis on dealing with past issues, meaning dealing with your past and going into your past, is less important than working on how your past impacts you today. Therapy is more focused on going into those traumas and working on them from that perspective. So the coaching that I do, if there was trauma, if there were issues, right, we would talk about them, but we would be more focused on, okay, so I have this interaction with my boss. I get so anxious when I talk to them. That anxiety comes from maybe what happened to you when you were younger. And here's what you can do about it now to make a difference moving forward. That's how I work.
Are you based in the States or in Canada?
I'm in Florida.
Florida, okay.
But the other, which I don't know if that counts as the States. But what also, the other thing I like about coaching is that there's no, like, I have international clients because I don't have to worry about being licensed in a particular state because I'm not doing therapy.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you for asking. And Eric, hi.
Hi, so I just wanted to help with a little bit about what you're talking about with AI. So there really isn't any kind of privacy concerns related to use of AI. The information, the data is all being used to be consumed to the larger model that creates all of the answers that are given to people. There are some things to think about if you're using AI for therapy. It's easy, but it doesn't really understand. It also tends to be very kind of looking to give you the answers that you want.
Yes.
Versus maybe the answers that you need.
Right.
It also tends to be giving you answers based on probabilities, right? So if the model's fed with a lot of certain type of information, it's going to give you information like that, maybe not based on what you need. That's all.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Eric. And I go into that in the workshops and in some of my writing, but real quick, if it's possible for me to be quick, the two things that is important to remember about AI is, one, it's like a puppy dog. It desperately wants to please you. It just wants to make you happy. And if it means making stuff up in order to make you happy, it will make stuff up to make you happy. Also,
That's
it's
very
basically like an expert improv actor. It doesn't know what to do next because it has wisdom or experience. It knows what to do next because it has read every single imaginable script you could possibly think of, from conversations, books, articles, screenplays, movies, etc. And based on all of that information, it says, oh, well, then what the next thing I should say is this. They make it so it seems very real and very personal and like it has feelings and consciousness, but it doesn't. But I still believe there's real power in being able to work with it in order to get support that you need, particularly if you're in a moment of crisis, to learn more about yourself, to do self-awareness building, to do personal growth, identifying patterns, things like that. There are so many ways to use AI as a mental health tool, as long as you understand it's not real.
Yeah. And part of it's just there's such a lack of resources. So just having anything sometimes is a
Correct.
blessing.
Yes. Okay, so it's 8:12. I don't want to make people feel like they have to stay. So if you do need to go, you can go. I am happy to keep answering questions. So I know that Ellen has a question, but if you need to go, thank you so much for attending. And obviously feel free to reach out to me. Ellen, I think you have a question. Ellen,
Yes, I
Moon?
do.
Okay.
Yes. Well, first, you had mentioned you wrote an article for Psychology Today about using AI. Is that correct?
Correct. I have a regular column there that I usually
Okay.
post every other week.
Are we able, is
Yes.
there are we able to access it easily on the internet, or is it something
Yes.
you could say? Okay.
Honestly, if you just Googled my name, Jeremy G. Schneider, you'd probably find it. But I will try to remember to include links to that tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. I wanted to know, as far as sleep goes, I'm a night owl, and I've been trying for the longest time to get to bed earlier, and I'm really not having a lot of success with it. Occasionally, yes, but not consistently. Do you have any tips for me? Any suggestions?
Can I ask what's the concern with being a night owl?
Well, because I still have to get up early to do,
Oh,
do
okay.
things. So
No,
I'm
that is
robbing
a problem.
myself of sleep. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the once I find that once we start on this self-care path, we run into a lot of societal challenges, let's say. And what I mean by that is there are certain ways that in society we're sort of expected to live. That go, go, go. That, we got to prove how tough we are by pushing through suffering and pain. Oh, we don't really need sleep. We only need a few hours, right? Like the day goes 9 to 5, right? But an option, Ellen, if it is an option, right? Something to consider if it's an option is, can you adjust the hours of your day that just better match your sleep? So that's one thing to think about. Two is, if you really are, I would want to figure out, what do you get out of staying up later? Because I think sometimes we use that time late at night as like, that's our wind down time, our self-care time. And it's just nice to have the place to ourselves. Maybe everybody else in the house is asleep or whatever it is. So that's another thing to think about, is like, what do you get out of being a night owl?
Definitely all of the above. But my problem is that then I don't feel productive during the day. And so
Right.
it's I guess it affects like my self-esteem not being as productive as I need to be or I want to be,
Right. And I would argue, not that I'm arguing with you, Ellen, because I would never argue with you. I would put forth that how much of that is you, and how much of that is this sense that society expects us to do a certain amount during a certain period of day, and if we don't achieve that, we're not good enough.
I hear you. There are some things though I just find that if I don't have daylight, I won't do, you know?
And
So-
so, I mean, that's a good point, right? But to me, that's like a value of self-awareness, right? And I don't mean to be turning this into like a mini session, Ellen, just sort of giving you things to think about, right?
Yes, I
That
appreciate
means
you.
you're aware of yourself. There are some things that you want to do during the day. Maybe there are other things that you can do in the evening that are fine.
Okay.
The main thing that I would say, the two things I would ask you to think about, and again, if you want to talk about this, just let me know. But the two things that I would think about, one, right, figuring out what you get out of staying up late, and is there another way that you can get that in the day? Two, is it really a problem that you're not getting everything done during the day the way you think you should? Or is it really because there's societal expectations that you should, but you're actually achieving what you need to do during the day?
Okay, thanks for that food for thought.
Yeah. Amanda? Are you still there, Amanda?
Oh, sorry, I meant to unraise my hand. Sorry.
No worries. Anne, where did we? Is your hand raised as well? Still raised? I'm gonna go with.
Oops, sorry.
That's okay. No worries. Anybody else have any questions before? Oh, Schler?
Yes, please.
Yes. Sorry.
Thank you for all the information. I wanted to know, I worked on myself for several years, at least 3 to 4, 5 years with different therapists from all over the world with different cultures. I really wanted to have like multiple opinion or approaches to study myself deeper. I've done that part in terms of trauma healing, all of that. In terms of coaching, I understand that it's more focused on current and future, if I'm correct, than just go ahead and talk about the past and healing traumas and all of that. So I wanted to know, for someone in this stage of life, I don't want to say everything has healed like 90%, 100%. That's not correct. But at least at some sort, I'm kind of in peace with at least most of my past. Do you recommend deeping down with more therapists into the past up to this stage, or do you recommend coaching as a specialist in this? All of that, both of them, actually.
What a loaded question. Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, it's totally fine. I love it. I'm going to tell you, because this has now become a select group, I will tell you a little bit about myself.
I really like to see that, because I saw your website and I wanted to know more about the coaching and all of that.
But let me tell you a little bit about my philosophy.
Okay.
I also had a pretty horrible childhood, and I have spent most of my life working on myself, mostly within therapy, often as well with outside of therapy. One of the biggest things that I wish I had learned earlier was that I didn't need to spend anywhere near as much time delving into my past.
Totally agree. Totally agree with you.
I don't want you to feel like I'm like pushing coaching on you.
No,
I'm just
I
trying
don't
to
feel
tell
like
you
that.
my perspective so that you know, again, this is partly why I became a coach versus being a therapist. What I've learned, particularly over the last 5 to 7 years, that has really made a huge difference in my life is that if I see how my past affects me now, right? The struggles I have with bosses or authority figures, the difficulties with anxiety, like I wrote an article recently that you'll probably find interesting. It actually, it was using it about AI because I used AI as the example, but I'm trying to build a business, right? I'm trying to build on your strengths. This is something I've wanted to do for, almost 20 years, and I've quit my job. Like, this is what I'm doing full time now.
Right.
And it's like, it's psychologically challenging. There's a lot of risk and anxiety that comes with running your own business. For me, one of the things that I found, one of the things that I found is that when I try to post something, I get so anxious. Like, I can't sit still, have to walk away from the computer anxious. And I don't mean this to like promote the whole AI thing either, but
I'm an AI fan, so I use AI a lot, so don't worry about that.
Okay, good. So what I did was I sat down with one of my favorite, I have lots of different AIs that I use. So I sat down with one of my favorite AIs and I explained what was happening. I get anxious when I think about posting. And it responded by basically saying, of course you do. Putting yourself out there exposes yourself. It makes yourself vulnerable. Right. And you learned as a child that that is not something to do.
Getting out of the comfort zone, why I should do that, put myself out there to be judged, I totally understand.
And so like that realization, right, that's not about me delving into my past more. That's me seeing how my past impacts my present and future, for that matter.
Right.
And then what I can do is, and what I've done, right, is like, okay, I'm 22 years old. That's so funny. I was talking to my child last night and I kept reminding them that they were 22 years old. And so now I go to say that and I'm like, so I'm 54 years old. It's 2025. I can handle this. Now, granted, when I was a kid, of course you can't handle it. And those parts of you, and we could get into there's a whole other workshop, but there are different parts of you that do still feel like a kid inside you.
Exactly.
And so grounding myself in the present, reminding myself, wait a second, I'm not just making myself vulnerable. I'm taking a chance on myself. I'm giving myself an opportunity. This is important to me. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I do it. I didn't resolve my past. But what I did was I saw how it impacts my present, made the adjustments so that it impacts me less. To me,
it's like rewiring or reframing.
Absolutely. It's exactly like rewiring.
Situation. I understand.
We're rewiring the pathways in our brain.
Exactly.
And to me, that's not that you can't do that in therapy, because some therapists do that. But
it's
to
difficult.
Me, that's the power of coaching.
Yes.
Is that ability to not delve into what my parents did or didn't do, but to see how it affects me now, and then how to free myself from that restraint.
Exactly.
So that's what I love about coaching. So I say to you, I don't think you have to delve into your past probably much more at all.
Right.
But maybe seeing how it impacts your present. And again, I'm not trying to sell you on talking to me, right?
Please don't worry about that. I totally understand that. And I respect that, even if you do, because I respect what you are doing. I respect this workshop, your time, even though I understand if the business is like behind it, I totally understand that. And I still respect that a lot. And I appreciate what you do.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So I think you could benefit from seeing how your past is playing out in the present.
Exactly. That's what actually I was looking for, because I'm not a therapist, but I studied like 2 PhD. I'm still a doctoral student in engineering. I studied physics in the past. So I'm kind of like, enough is enough. Okay, at some point, if it was parents, if it was politics, if it was whatever it was, okay, I paid the price. That's what else? As an adult, what kind of steps I can take to kind of get myself out of, it's not 100%, but at least make myself a little bit more free, or rewrite my story myself based on what I really want, not the pressure coming from expectations coming from society, parents, everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean this in a depressing way, but it's a reality, right?
Yes.
Talking about myself, I'm never going to be fully healed. It's never going to happen.
Yes, exactly.
It's not possible. It's also not worth it. The effort that would take for me to quote unquote completely heal from what I've been through.
Yeah.
I can imagine the hours and hours of more therapy that would require.
It's not just a deep wound, it gets better, but it's always there.
Correct. Exactly.
There's a trace there, just how deep it's going to be, how deep it's going to affect us. It's like healing through therapy and stuff like that. So Jeremy, I don't want to take more of your time. I really, really appreciate it.
Sure,
how can I get in touch with you? On your website, I believe I saw a phone number, but I was not sure if that's your number.
Yeah, it's my number.
Okay, so do you prefer via phone or email? I wanted to get some information about the coaching sessions.
You can just send me an email and we can schedule a time if you want.
Okay, the email is on the website. I didn't check.
Yeah, there's also on the contact page, you can send me through that. Also, you could actually just schedule 30 minutes.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you so much. Thank you. I got to the point that I need some service like what you are offering, but I was like, maybe I'm not an expert. Maybe I'm gonna kind of like distract myself from therapy. I really appreciate what you are doing, and thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, I have a question. So when it comes to the coaching, do you help like with people that are, struggling with ADHD, people that are on the spectrum, like autism, and how it, and PTSD, and I just have a host of issues that I struggle with. So
A lot of letters. Yeah. So I'll be honest with you. My areas of expertise do not really include ADHD.
Okay.
It doesn't mean I don't know something about it, but I don't consider myself, like, I would never do a workshop on ADHD. I just don't feel like I know it that well.
Okay.
PTSD, I could probably just start doing a workshop right this second. When we start talking about how the past impacts us, when we start talking about things that we need to do in terms of our self-care and getting through the day and making sure we're okay, those are things that I'm really good at. Relationships, I'm good at. And it's not that, like, I'm not trying to say I can't help you, but if having someone who is really knowledgeable about ADHD is important, then I think it's probably better to find someone who knows more about it than I do, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for being honest.
Sure.
That helps.
And if you want to talk about this more, just let me know. That's fine.
Yeah. No.
I don't feel like I'm getting rid of you or anything.
No. Like this, your session tonight, like, has been helpful. I do find that a lot of the symptoms or side effects of all the stuff that I have, they do overlap. So
Yes,
there's
I'm
benefits
sure
to
they
it.
do.
Still.
Yeah,
So thank you.
it's like a Venn diagram of symptoms.
Yes. Thank you again.
Sure. Any other questions? Going once? Going twice? Okay.
I have a question, Jeremy.
Yeah. Sure. Allie, hi.
Hi there. Greetings to you and everyone. I really enjoyed the presentation and the opportunity to engage with you vicariously through other attendees posing questions to you to be answered. And so I'm wondering, what say you on the matter of when our partners' schedules are different from ours, when their biorhythms are different, when their schedule is different. And I sometimes look forward to, I don't know why this is, him getting up and out of the bed so I can hop in the bed. Because if I were to lay down with him, it's not that we don't, but I'm just getting to the fact that it throws my sleep off. We have plenty of time we spend during the day. We have like our special time. However, I'm just wondering, how does one navigate that if their partner sometimes is going to bed as they're getting up and vice versa?
I mean, first of all, that seems really challenging.
Yeah, I kind of like it. It's not really, but it's causing me to wonder, is it almost like when you have an infant, you sleep when the baby sleeps?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would, I don't know why I'm using this word, but it's awesome. Harken back to what I was talking with Ellen about, which in terms of like society's expectations, right? Like we're expected in a relationship to sleep with our partners. I mean, is that a law? You know what I mean? Is that something we have to do? If you're both going to experience better rest separately, is that so bad? Particularly if your schedules are different. So I put that out there as just something to think about.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is, I guess, how much do you want to change that? The struggle that it has when he leaves. And
There's no struggle at all. I'm just wondering from the standpoint of, because I haven't figured out how to modulate my rest, I noticed that my sleep is getting broken up. And so I'm not sure if I should just go to bed when he goes to bed, and he's up and out early, really early in the morning. And that's kind of confusing with regard to our structure and routines.
Yeah. Right. So he's going to bed early.
Yeah.
But you're staying up later.
Yeah, he's getting up sometimes around the time I'm going to bed. And so, but I see him early in the morning, and so that's nice. But then I haven't gotten a full night's rest. And I'm energized, and I'm up with the sun because it feels nice to get up that early. And if I'm riding the wave with him, I'm high energy, and then before I know it, I'm feeling tired, fatigued during the day, and my brain is a little sleepier sometimes than I want or need it to be. And I'm just wondering what you might have thought about what one can do to get more in a rhythm of honoring their body's need for rest. And I don't know if that's a sleep hygiene thing,
I mean, it's tricky because you have this, shall we say, interruption. If it was just up to you, going to sleep when you go to sleep and waking up when you wake up would probably be fine. But you have this interruption that happens maybe like a few hours earlier than you mean to get up. And so that's what's disruptive.
It doesn't feel disruptive, at the time. I'm just noticing, and as I'm wanting to improve health and wellness, I'm pretty healthy now, but I don't want it to start chipping away at my well-being, know? So I'm thinking like prophylactically, looking down the road. I'm wanting to make sure that I safeguard optimal wellness for myself, as well as for he. And
your relationship.
Yeah, right. But we have a great relationship. I don't feel bothered or disturbed or upset. I'm actually happy to wake up when he comes in, and it's nice. We have a really beautiful bond. However, I'm still wondering, am I doing harm? Am I shortening my telomeres by breaking my sleep up like that?
It seems to me that it's less an issue of sleep and more an issue of quality of life, right? There is real value in you getting to see him for a little bit, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah.
And that you're enjoying that.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
so if you, let's just say you slept in another room, you wouldn't have that, but you'd have a better night's sleep. Is that better? Or maybe it's something that you decide you want to do a few nights a week, but not every night, because you don't want to miss him,
Yeah, we all have to talk about it. We enjoy sleeping together, so I don't know. It's nice, and there isn't a problem. I was just wondering, and you threw the question there.
My sense is the way you talk about it, it doesn't sound like it's a bad thing.
It's not. It's
And
not.
so-
I was taking advantage of your last call with the questions.
And so I think like at some point, maybe it does become a problem
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it doesn't. But
Yeah.
you can also just kind of punt this until you start to feel like it's taking more of an impact on you.
Oh, yeah. I would definitely speak up, and we'd have to address
Right.
that. There isn't a problem. There isn't a need. I was just curious. And again,
You're being
more than
cautious.
taking advantage of your last call for any kind of questions before we signed off. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And any other questions before we sign off? Well, thank you very much for all of you that decided to stay on for so much longer.
Jeremy, I have one last question.
Yeah.
Really quickly. I have a tendency, so when I'm not at my sweetheart's, I have a tendency to putz around, and before I know it, here comes the sun. And it's early morning, and I've stayed up piddling and doing work and researching and all sorts of stuff on the computer, getting work done through the night. But then my first meeting might be at 10 in the morning, and I'm like, what have I done?
Yeah.
And so I can't say I'm exhausted. It's just that I don't think that's healthy for the long term. And I really want to be part of the 5:30 a.m. club. I enjoy getting up early. However, I'm also a natural night owl, and it feels very difficult to augment my natural rhythm. My sleep-wake cycle is kind of like calibrated later in the day.
Yeah. I mean, it almost seems like it's at some point going to come down to an issue of priorities.
Mm-hmm.
What's more important to you? Is it getting up early in the morning? Is it having that time at night where you're getting stuff done?
Mm-hmm.
Just like with your partner, right? Like, is sleep more important, or is getting that time with him more important?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that there's a right way to do it, as much as just being aware if there's any negative impact on you.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It definitely makes sense. So a lot of times he'll say, sweetheart, oh my God, have you even been to bed? I'm like, I have. He's like, no, you haven't. And so I'm like, I can't believe it. And then before I know it, I'm up, and but then I'll go to sleep. I've got to figure that out, because when I get home, I'm kind of tired.
Yeah, I think it's really going to be a priorities question.
Mm-hmm.
Alina asked if I could review the statements to say to yourself. I think this is what you were talking about, Alina. So So you can see here, we're just talking about, how to reframe the difficulties, the negative talk that happens in our brains. And again, this happens in everyone's brains. It's not like yours is just bad. Like we all have negative self-talk. A whole other workshop will be about like how our brain lies to us. So, it's not telling the truth. It's just saying nonsense. We can then say, okay, my body is allowed to rest even if my mind is busy, right? Like resting is still good for me even if I'm not actually sleeping. And certainly resting is a lot better than not resting. I hope that helps a little bit, Alina. And again, I'll share this tomorrow. So, okay, well, I think we're gonna wrap up.
When you say you're going to share it tomorrow, what do you mean by that, Jeremy?
Oh, in the meetup group,
Uh-huh.
I'll send an email to everybody.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Yeah. You should get it that way tomorrow.
Okay. May I send you an alternate email? Because I don't think the email that I have with Meetup is receiving it's full. I've got to
yeah.
I'll send you a message through Meetup's DM. I'll do that. Okay.
Perfect.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. This was great.
Sure, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you
Take care,
very much.
Jeremy. Thanks everyone. All right.
Take care. Bye.
Good night.